Before you jumped on, Cameron was just grilling me because have you seen Breaking Bad? Because I never finished it, and he's quite pulled by that.
Yeah, I was late to it, but I like binged it all. So
Yeah,
I was supposed to be working from home at the time for somewhere I won't mention, and
yeah,
I just had it on the background, and I was like, I don't really get the hype here. And then I quickly got the hype, and I just binged the entire thing, man, like back to back. You know what I mean? And I was like, this was
yeah,
just the best thing I've ever seen. It is good.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I was just saying to Matt how I was watching. I don't know if you've seen Power, the TV
Yeah,
series.
I used to watch it, but I
And
kind of fell off when
yeah,
it came back.
so I started watching it again, and obviously it's so long ago now, so I don't remember it too much. And I was just saying to Matt, oh, I've actually stopped watching it now because I got to a part where it's all good for everyone at the moment. So I'm like, I don't want to go any further because I kind of remember everything starts falling apart for him. And then Matt was like, oh yeah, the same thing happened with Breaking Bad. I just stopped watching it, and I'm like,
Yeah,
bro,
it was a long time ago. It
right.
was at uni, so I think I switched to like Game of Thrones or something in the end, and just
Oh, I
started
haven't
went through
seen
that.
Game of Thrones.
See,
Yeah.
I've never
Oh,
finished that
yeah.
either. I've seen a few
Oh.
episodes, like just whilst I've been in the room, whilst other people
Yeah.
have been watching them, but I've never. I honestly, I don't watch a lot of series at all now. I don't know what it is. Like, I'm really picky.
Are you
Like, so-
I have you down as more of a YouTube man? Do you sit and watch YouTube more than
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Long form though, like I still quite like long form, and I don't know that if it's just because I'm trying to be like a bit of a contrarian and being like, oh yeah, I don't do lots of short form stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or if I'm watching short form, I'm on YouTube as well. So I think I'm just being a bit of an asshole, really. You know?
Yeah.
But
No,
long form YouTube podcasts, stuff like that. Yeah, I'm into that.
yeah, I think it's weird how
Yeah.
it's changing, isn't it? Because things like TV, like I'll occasionally watch a series with Yaz, but other than that, if I'm on my own in the house, when I'm eating dinner, I'm watching YouTube. When I'm having my morning coffee, I'm watching YouTube. And it's funny how that's obviously transitioned to be like TV. I know Cam's the same. Like whenever you used to sit down and have lunch, YouTube would come on.
No, we don't even have a TV where I am.
You just watch, yeah,
Just watch everything on the computer, yeah.
yeah, it's wild when you think about it. But no, before we ramble on too much, thanks for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it. And you're like you said, you don't feel like you deserve to come on. You do, and I feel like you've had an amazing first year. And the reason why we want to talk to you is because you're a very new freelancer, right? So I think you're only a year into it, right? Is that...
Yeah, a year or two. I'd say a year, like taking it seriously. I would say,
yeah.
and really going for it.
So we really want to get that perspective because obviously me and Cameron have been in it now for 6 or 7 years. So it's kind of hard. It all gets like muddled. You can't really remember what it was like. So we wanted to get someone on that we knew, and then we respect your work, and we were like, it'd be great to get you on and have that perspective of someone that's like fresh into the freelance scene and like things that you've found, things you've encountered coming into it in like 2024 and like kind of a more modern era. That makes us sound like we're really old, but do you know what I mean? Just someone that's more recent. So, and obviously me and you know each other anyway. We've been friends for a while. We had a couple of mentoring sessions together as well. And like I say, I came on your podcast years back, and
Years,
yeah. So it's like it's good to like chat with Cam in the room as well because it's just good to pick your brains on it because I know there are a lot of people that either want to make the jump to freelance or have, and you know, you might share some things with them that like you're going through and we can kind of chat through them, and it'd just be good to kind of pick your brains on it.
Yeah, definitely. But it's been tough. Like it's a hard game. So just to put people in the picture, so I work part-time 3 days a week at a small video production agency, and that pays the bills, confirmed. And then the other 4 days, it's just me sort of hustling and trying to do mostly combat sports work is what I do. So it's photography, a bit of content creation and vlogs and stuff for athletes as well. But we've spoken before, Matt, and photography is really like where I want to be. But the side of things that I'm at, I feel like the video side of it and the content creation, it feels like people sort of expect that from me. Yeah. So I'm doing that as well because I feel like, not that I don't enjoy it, but I think I sort of have to just have a foot in the door and be competing against anyone else that's in sort of that combat sports space. Everyone seems to offer both, like without question. That doesn't even seem to be like a question. Everyone is like, oh well, if I'm working with the athlete, I need to provide both, you know, video, long form video, photos, and sort of content. So it's tough to sort of do what you want to do. Because like I said, I'd love to just be a photographer, but I don't feel like that's possible where I am at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know about what like your thoughts on that, Cameron, but I feel like when you come into the industry, you kind of say like yes to as much as possible, right? It's like I need to earn as much as possible. I want to get my foot in the door, like you say. So you kind of say yes to everything, and you take on all sorts of gigs and all sorts of jobs, and you know. And I feel like now as well, there's so many people that are a hybrid, and they're creating content, reels, and doing photography for athletes, and it's more like you're a Swiss Army knife of skills that someone like that can kind of use. And then as you grow through your career, I remember getting to a point where I was like, I'm going to say no to events and a no to this. And like, I've always said, like, I'm not a videographer. So like, if you want that, then like, you'll have to find it elsewhere. You can only hire me for photos. And I will have lost out on a lot of money because of that. But it's like short-term pain for long-term gain, right? You kind of like, it's that delayed gratification, but you have to be in a situation in the first place where you can get by as it is. Cause like, we need to pay bills, right? So it's hard to get yourself in that situation in the first place.
Yeah,
You just sent me back to like a flashback of when I used to do photos when I first started as well, and it's been a
I
long
forget
time
that.
since I've done that. Yeah, and so I completely know what you mean, and I think I don't know, like I don't think that ever goes away. I think you end up just deciding not to do it anymore, and you end up being okay. So I almost want to say like maybe you should try and say, yeah, I can do video, but just like social, like because I imagine social media is quite a big thing. So you kind of have to do video as well, and that's why it feels like it. But maybe to a certain extent, I don't know. Like,
I think it's particularly when working with athletes, they just sort of. I mean, I don't want to paint every athlete in the world with the same brush, but especially in the combat sports world, my experience, you are just media guy. Media guy who has camera, who can do a bit of everything. That's and whether that's because of the way that I have put myself across, or whether that's because just what they've seen and what they expect. But it seems to be that anytime I've worked with an athlete in the combat sports space, it's just it's unwritten, it's unsaid that you are expected to be able to do all of those things. You know what I mean? You're expected to provide at least some level of video and a good level of photography as well. But when I say the video, I mean I'm doing basic vlogs. You know what I mean? It's not cinema. It's YouTube content. It's vlogs. It's run and gun. It's handheld. It's not sort of things that I'm storyboarding. I'm turning up to a gym and I am shooting. You know what I mean? There's not an awful lot of pre-planning or pre-thought to it for the most part. So I say this as if it's a really tough gig and as if, I'm like, oh, woe's me. I don't get to just do photos all the time. Like, I don't mind doing the vlogs for them, and it's nice to be a part of that as well. And I feel like that gets me in the door, because if I turned up and said, well, I'm only going to do photos, you're going to have to get another guy. You're going to have to pay someone else to come and do the videos. A lot of them, A, they just wouldn't have the budget, and B, I just wouldn't be there in the first place. If I said to them, well, I'm not going to film anything for you, I just wouldn't be there. So I feel like I have to be there doing that to even just be in the room.
Yeah, and it's also the type of it's who they are, like the type of client they are as well. Like some like certain industries aren't very like they are more run and gun, and they don't like to kind of be like sat around for 2 hours filming the same thing. Or if you was to storyboard it, it would have to be really, really kind of. I imagine it's only okay, say for bigger athletes, say like Anthony Joshua or something like that, because his team is like, you need to stay here for 3 hours and do this. Compared to I completely get what you mean. Sorry, Matt, I cut you off.
No, it's fine. And I think that you don't tend to post. Correct me if I'm wrong. From what I see on your socials, it's mainly photography, right?
Yeah, I don't post any of the video work because largely it's not something that I see as a best sort of representation of what I can do and what I do. Not that it's low quality. It's just. I'm not fishing for more of it.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean?
I think that's the right thing to do, and I think
that's a good point.
I always say like post what you want to get hired for. And if I was following you as an athlete, I wouldn't realize or think that you do these vlogs. So if I went to hire you, I'd be like, oh, like, can you do a photo shoot with me? And you can say yeah, and then like as your career progresses, you'll be able to get to a point where you might be so busy with like photography work, if that athlete comes to you and says, oh, do you do anything else? You can say, no, I've stopped doing that kind of stuff moving forward. If that's something that you obviously decide to do, and that point will come in your career where it's like, what do you want to be known for? Do you know what I mean? But like, it's your first year, so I think you're doing like 100% all the right things. But as the more you do it, you might be like, you know what, I'm sick of this video stuff. And, you know, in a year's time, you might be like, right, I want to switch completely to photo. And you're busy enough to be in a position to do that. So anyone new coming in the door that's a new client, you could literally be like, you know, if they say, oh, do you do video? You can say, I'm no longer doing video moving forward. I want to focus on my photography career. They can't argue with that. And they've come to you anyway because they want your photos because that's all they've seen on your social. So they don't know that you do any different. They've just asked the question. So they're already interested in you anyway, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was what a lot of what I took away from one of the mentoring sessions that we did is that I need to be posting what I want to get hired for, and I definitely think about that a lot more now when I'm posting things on Instagram, because I think before I had that session with you, Matt, I was just kind of putting anything and everything up because I just wanted to look like I was busy, and I wasn't really thinking as to like I didn't care how I looked busy. I just wanted to look busy.
Yeah.
But now I'm a lot more picky about what I put up. At the same time, I'm very anti-social media in the sense that if I didn't have to do it, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But like I understand how much of a huge part it plays, and it's sort of a, you know, a necessary evil for me. I'd rather not be on it, but it's there.
But I mean,
if I use it.
This is a great point and a great part to pick up your reel that's just gone viral, right? So, you know, anti-social, but you've just had a reel that's done 7 million views.
8 million Instagram and 1.5 million on TikTok.
Right. So I want to pick that apart because obviously you've realized that, you know, posting, you know, content on social to get your name out there is helpful for business, and it's like a marketing strategy that obviously you've decided to adopt. Has that reel kind of helped? Has it helped get more eyes on you and your work? Like, it'd be good to, I just want to like hear about that and your experience with it.
Yeah. So the reel, if you haven't seen it, it'll take 7 seconds out of your life. So it's not huge.
I'll throw it up on the screen as well for the video version. So
yeah. So it isn't what it seems. So essentially, I'm photographing a fight. I've got my 360 camera on top of my camera for BTS. And one of the fighters' elbows comes over the top rope and hits my camera. The lens doesn't break, but I think, well, what would make that video good for social media and what will make it potentially viral is if the lens broke, that would make a much more exciting story. So I've bought a little UV filter for a tenner. I've got a screwdriver and just smashed it. So then,
so it's not even. Oh my god! Okay,
so I didn't know this.
You didn't know that?
No. So
I posted a follow-up, but it didn't do half as well, obviously.
Okay, well, I saw that it was not the lens and it was just the filter. So
did you spot that initially?
Yes, I knew that the lens was fine and not the filter, because obviously I think when you know what you're looking at, you can see that the lens is okay, but it's the filter on the front. But mate, can I just say that's marketing fucking genius?
Yeah, that's
like something brands would do. That's really, really clever.
Well,
so
I posted that after because I was like, I want people to know that it wasn't a mistake. Like I planned this. You know what I mean? It wasn't just me being a fool. I went home and thought, you know, this will make a good social media video if it smashed. Because I mean, I don't want to be massively cynical about it, but I feel like on social media often people interact with negative things. People like to see if everything's gone perfect for you. It's a video where you go, oh, this shoot was great and everything was great and it was just the most perfect shoot. People aren't as interested as when you're showing something that's maybe things gone wrong. I guess that was my cynical sort of head when I approached it, and I guess I was right. Anyway, I just attached the filter afterwards, and I popped the videos of me filming the lens in between. So it looked like it was like, oh, I got home, looked at the camera, and it was smashed. But no, the filter wasn't even on. That was all an afterthought, filmed months after, and then I've put it up. But in terms of like what it's actually done for me, if anything, a lot of comments that were, you know, weren't worth reacting to. Everyone telling me how awful I am at my job and all that stuff. So that was all great. But I think I've gained roughly about like 800 followers from it, which I don't know if that's a good rate. It doesn't seem like a good rate for 8 million. If you can get 8 million views, if you thought, oh, I'm going to get 8 million views, you'd think, well, maybe that's going to boost my following a lot. And to me, the following was sort of the important part of it. I wanted people to convert, because that video, you see none of my work. Like, that doesn't showcase me in any way. If anything, it showcases me as being a little bit incompetent. So I wanted people to actually come through and see my work. And those 800 people that have followed me off the back of it, to me, that's the important number. The 8 million's it's vanity. It's
Yeah.
irrelevant, really. Unless you go on the profile that says 8 million, some people might be impressed by that. They might go, oh, wow, that's some sort of mark of, I don't know, quality or something. I don't know. But the 800 followers for me is really the important part of it.
Yeah.
Because that's people that are going to see my work. But those are 800 followers from all over the world who aren't necessarily ever going to book me for anything,
Yeah.
you know? So whether it's done anything for me in terms of business, I don't know. It's boosted my followers. I've got a reel that says 8 million on it, which it can't be a bad thing in regards to people finding my profile, seeing those numbers.
Are most of those 800 are the photographers? Because it's
A
like
lot of it was, yeah.
Yeah, so that's like because when mine did well, like so just in like comparison, so I only got a million views, but I got 8,000 followers off it, and you could tell that all of those 8,000 were photographers. So, and I think like it's funny how now that has helped my business in terms of like now I offer mentoring and like those people can see that and have access to it. So like it might be something that down the line like has a beneficial effect, but all it takes is say out of those 800 that follow you, 20 work for a combat sports brand and they're now following you. But like, and it's really hard to tell that because you'll get a random follower, right? That, you know, you don't know who they are and it doesn't say in their bio what they do for a living and what they do for work. Yeah. But like, you might have 20 people now following you from a combat sports brand that you're not aware of. And if you keep showing up and showing your combat sport work, you might get an email one day or a DM and you like, and that's kind of the beauty of it. But it's really interesting. The reason why I brought up that example, because like my reel was very specific to photographers. So that's why photographers followed it. Whereas if yours is like a combat sports incident kind of gone wrong, blended with photography, it's interesting how like that can differ in terms of a turnover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it had the appeal because it was just someone failing. I guess it was an old school fail, you know what I mean? So I had Lad Bible, joe.co.uk, other like outlets messaging me asking to like buy, like, well, I say buy, they didn't want to pay me at all, asking if they could share it and then, oh, we'll credit you. I'm like, is there any way that like I share, because they monetize all that stuff.
Yeah.
But they don't offer you a cut in that. So I was just like, I'm not fussed. You know, I'd rather not, because then I'll lose control of that video, and the way they frame it is going to be completely different to the way that I've framed it. Whatever. But I feel like my one didn't particularly help in the way that yours did, because I wasn't showing me doing a good thing. It wasn't me succeeding in photography. It wasn't showcasing my work. It was more sort of, it's fast food in regards to, you know, like how reels go. It's the lowest common denominator. It was 7 seconds, something going wrong. It's something that people go, oh wow, that's a bit crazy, and move on. I don't think it's actually been massively beneficial. I wouldn't recommend people going out and trying to like fake things going wrong, I guess. Because the one that you've done where, I don't know specifically the one you're referring to, but I imagine it showcases you in a pretty positive light, right?
Yeah, it was just like 8 things you can do when work's quiet. So it's like the value's there in terms of here's 8 tips, you can save it and refer back to it later. As opposed to it's like, it's different.
There's real value in that rather than just look at me, you can have a quick laugh at me with things going wrong. But I mean, there was some photographers in the comments like backing my side of it, and other people just telling me that it's a zoom lens, so I should have been further away. So I got comments like that, you know, which were pretty good.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I don't think it's been massively beneficial.
Okay,
I think it's okay though if you are thinking of posting more and stuff like that. Like for example, because Matt could post one, and that could do well or not do well. But Matt's going to upload again next week or in a few days. So it's like it's like a throwing a coin. What is it, like a coin in the well kind of thing? Like a
it's just like a. So has that put you off posting? This is kind of, it'd be good to get your opinions off this, because I was about to say like, what have you learned from like this scenario, and you've kind of said like you wouldn't go out and kind of maybe not do that type of reel again or whatever, but has it put you off kind of posting BTS? Do you now want to post more of it? Like, where's your head at with that kind of stuff? Because like I say, like I could have a reel that does really well, or I've had lots recently that have done really crap and they haven't gained traction like I wanted them to, but I'm still going to post one in 2 days time. Do you know what I mean? So has it changed the way you want to go about your like marketing now or see things?
I think it's changed the way I approach it, in the sense that I feel like I was trying too hard at first. I was doing ones where I'd sit down and record this big monologue about how much I loved shooting combat sports, which is great. But again, it's very niche and it's only going to hit a certain number of people. So if I can do similar to what this one has done, in the sense that there's not even any speaking in it, so there's no language barrier. There's nothing. I saw a great Mr. Beast clip where he's like, if I speak in this reel, instantly I'm dropping like the amount of people that's reaching, because there's Meta doesn't show it to people of X.
Right.
People who don't speak English or whatever else. I know that they get automatically dubbed and things like that nowadays in captions. But if I can do one like that, which is more positive and brings more value to the person watching it, that would be what I want to do. So I've learned like what makes reels tick and what, you know, gets people engaged. But if I can do that and then bring it round to a place where I'm bringing them back to my work, or if my work was somehow featured in that reel, that would be much better, rather than just a reel where there's really nothing that tells you anything about me or what I'm about. So if I can do that sort of viral reel with value, that would be the way I'd try and go about it.
I think there's a place for both. So me and Cam were actually talking about this before you jumped on. So posted a reel yesterday afternoon, and it's, you know, it's I've jumped on that trend, but it's the holy fucking airball. I told her I take photos for a living. She was like, "What, family photos?" And I said, "Not quite." And it went into a montage of cool BTS clips from my career. So that's now popping off and doing well. But what it does is it brings people to your page, and then I have a bank of content on my Reels page, which is freelancer diaries. Here's tips for this, here's tips for that. Videos that have done 2,000 views, 3,000, 4,000 that haven't done well compared to my usual Reels. But that's a bank of content for those people to then access and be like, oh, I'm a photographer. I've found you through this like viral clip or like whatever it is, this trending clip that doesn't offer that much value. It's just showing you like my work or my career, and it's like your highlights. But they can come to your page then and watch, you know, 5 episodes of Freelancer Diaries and then connect with you, or like watch something that's value based and be like, oh, I learned something there, and they save that. And I think having that bank of other stuff there is like important. So there's a place for both, whether it's the viral thing and the trending thing, or whether it's like super niche content that's me talking, and you'd only really get it if you're a freelance photographer from the UK maybe. And like having both there is just like a pool to catch everyone, and it serves people different things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All of my reels on my page, to be fair, went up a little bit. Yeah, they all jumped up. It was hard to keep track of it, but they all went up, you know, a good few thousand from where they were. So people were on my profile, people were engaging with different bits. So it's not as if it's completely wasted, and the people that clicked through wanted to find out more. They're probably looking for the result photos. Everyone was looking for the results. Kind of have the photo of the elbow smashing the lens. Everyone was looking for that. So that definitely did boost my profile in general, and people did see the more valuable reels. So I'm trashing it, but it wasn't a negative experience. As long as you can turn comments off, just stop looking at comments. That would be if any of your reels pop off, please don't look at comments, because you'll have someone telling you that you're doing your job wrong, or that the lens isn't fit for purpose was a strange one. You know, just anything that you could have done differently in that video, that clip, they will tell you that you should have done differently.
They say there's 2 levels of viral. There's like viral where you get people just commenting and it goes fairly like famous, whatever, and then you get like the true internet where it's like people insulting you left and right and everything, and you're like, oh god, you've opened up like a portal.
You know, the island head meme emoji.
Oh yeah,
where it's just like a, you know, like a Hawaii, is it, I don't know, like the sort of face is just like that. I had lots of people commenting that, because it clips back to me for like a second, because with a 360 cam, obviously I've got front and back.
You didn't react.
And yeah, I didn't react. So there's loads of people just hitting with the sort of stone head of me, just sort of like
cruel,
like that.
The internet is a cruel place. Yeah.
It's funny because I saw the fighter comment on the video and be like, "Sorry, bro, so sorry, I didn't realize I did that," or something like that, when obviously he actually didn't.
Yeah, I DM'd him after, and I was like. I will tell people, don't worry, that you haven't broke anything. There's not like any damage.
Yeah.
You know, because there's people commenting, obviously being like, oh, minus $3,000 or whatever. Yeah. And I DM'd the people that needed to know, and told them. You know, and if anyone asked as well, like, because I would say combat sports, particularly, I don't know if this is the same in other sites, but there's such a great community of creators and photographers. if they DM'd me, I would let them know straight away. You know what I mean? I wasn't trying to like hold it back from anyone. But yeah, there's such a great community of people online who are like super supportive, specifically in my niche as well, photographers, videographers. And yeah, all those guys were messaging. I let everyone know. So it was like an open secret. And then I did the follow-up video and I thought this might do well. You know what I mean? I was like, how much did this cost me? £10. It didn't. It was like 22,000. It was, you know.
Yeah. Well, man, that's better than nothing. And yeah, mate, clever marketing from you. Like, if you were a brand, they would be like applauding you for that. So you'd have been getting a pay rise.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I definitely think it makes it even better when you've curated that, because especially if a brand sees it and you're like, oh yeah, that wasn't an accident. Like, I actually made that. They'd be like, oh, like this guy actually knows what he's doing. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So moving away from the social, I'm really curious about all that. So it was really cool to talk to you about that. What's jumping into freelance life? What's probably like some of the, you said it's been hard. Can you expand on that? Like, what have you found like the most difficult so far? And it would be also good to kind of, you're juggling it with part-time, and you know, people have said to me before, I want to jump into freelance. Like, a good transition is going either, if you can, part-time somewhere 2 or 3 days a week, and then the rest of your time is obviously, you know, taking on freelance work and doing it to the point where you can go full-time. But like you say, your bills are being paid, right? So that's like super handy, and having that financial security is great, because that's one of the hardest things about jumping into freelance life.
I think for me, and this is going to sound like sacrilege to like so many people are going to be, what are you talking about? I still struggle just sending the invoice. Like, it gives me a really like a feeling that I don't enjoy charging people money. You know, it's an awful feeling. I enjoy the money coming into my bank, but pressing that button and sending that invoice, I still have this thing in the back of my head that goes, your work's not worth that. You know what I mean? This thing in the back of my head, and just sending that invoice. So just being more confident with pricing and those initial conversations, I still find them so, not tough, but just awkward to try and assert myself and say, this is how much my work, how I value my work. If you don't value it that way, then that's fine. Let's move on to the next thing. I find it really difficult, that initial conversation, just being, putting my foot down and going, this is how much it's worth, and this is how much I'm charging, etc., because you often get a message back or whatever saying, oh, well, we'll have to discuss budgets or whatever else. And just navigating that initial conversation, I think, is the hardest part.
Yeah.
You know, aside from the actual work itself, it's navigating that initial conversation and ensuring that you're getting paid sort of what you're worth or what you deem your work to be worth.
That's super
so
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember first starting, and nobody kind of prepares you for, doing a contract or doing an invoice, and is this how you send an invoice? And I remember even recently, I'll say recently, like 2 years ago, someone asked me for I can't remember the name of it now, but it's like where you get a refund for like half of the quote or something, half of the invoice, and they call it like a customer compensation. I don't know. But I had to search Google and ask what that was. And there's like a lot of things that are just like, oh damn, like am I doing this right? Like, how you can't ask what you do, because then it makes you look unprofessional as well.
Yeah.
So
you basically become a sales person. You have to like know all of this stuff, and it's funny because I used to get anxiety sending invoices as well. I don't now. I'm just like, here you go. I want my money. Like, now, obviously 7 years in, but I remember like the first 2 or 3 years, just even be like, it was more anxious for me to be like, is the invoice right? Like, there's that feeling of like, I'm not sure I should be sending it, and you've read it over 5 times to make sure it's kind of like all correct, and because it feels like a super serious thing. And like you say, no one ever prepares you for that. And being a freelance photographer, whatever you are, you have to wear a lot of hats. You have to be a lot of different things. And it's like all of a sudden you're becoming a salesman. You have to talk about money and, you know, pitch yourself and be like, I'm worth this much, and negotiate. And those things are super, super uncomfortable. So I'm really glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of people will be able to relate to that.
Yeah. Are you using an invoicing software or anything like that? Or have you made like your own templates that you send? Like, what have you found?
Yeah, so I just use QuickBooks at the moment, so I'm just set up as a sole trader. I'm not set up as a limited company or anything. To be honest, that's above my head. I've spoken to people about it. The guy that I work with is obviously set up as a limited company, and he talks a lot about it to me. And you can be claiming back your VAT and stuff. And I don't think I'm in a place where I'm at a level where that is going to be beneficial
definitely
at the moment.
way more admin things. Yeah, like it's
so many more.
Yeah, it's
so much more expensive. Like me and Cam have an accountant, and obviously when you're become limited or VAT registered, like they handle all of that. But like it will cost you like an extra $1,000 a year just for like accountancy fees.
Yeah,
like,
there's other things though. Like I don't want to derail the conversation, but there's just things like if you're earning say under 50k, it literally makes more sense to stay sole trader, just from like a purely logical like tax and. Like if you're limited, you can't just have like a client pay you directly, or like there's like all this like it has to go to your company, and then how do I move the money from my company to me personally without? And it's just like you don't want to be dealing with all that bullshit, basically. So yeah, definitely. Sorry, yeah.
QuickBooks is pretty straightforward. I mean, I don't know if you've ever had any experience using it. I'm just swiping on my bank transactions, business. Expense, not business, and then at the end when it comes time to submitting it, it's all sort of there, and I'm really just typing numbers into the I obviously submit it by myself. It's all pretty straightforward, really, or at least I think it is. I've never had anyone tell me I've done it wrong as of yet. But you know what, it surprised me. It was surprising on the government website. This is really boring. When you're submitting your tax returns and stuff like that, how much you're just giving them a number and they're going, okay. You know what I mean? Like I thought there'd be more to it. I thought they demand, books of paperwork. They don't. They just ask you for a number, and that's it. And then unless they look into you, I guess that's the end of it.
Yeah, that's
so it's crazy. Like I honestly thought it would be a lot more rigorous and a lot more sort of proving your earnings, but I'm just typing a number in and pressing go and typing the number in. But yeah, it's all right. But yeah, QuickBooks is sound for my purpose and I guess anyone else at my level.
I remember when I first started out and I was putting all like my business expenses and all my personal expenses through one bank account, and that was just like my current account. And then it made life so much easier when I got a separate debit card for business and a separate one for personal. So if I was getting on the tube, am I going to work? Yes. And I'll use Apple Pay on my business card instead of my personal card. And like, cool, I'm buying a lens. It's going on my business debit card. And like, this subscription, it's going on my business debit card. So it's so much then easier to like at the end of the tax year be like, cool, here's all my business costs. It's everything in my business card. And it's just all there. And you don't have to like, shrug through all of your personal bank account statements where it's like a £3 meal deal at Sainsbury's and a cinema ticket and a night out, and then there's my Adobe software subscription, and do you know what I mean? It gets really messy. So that's just some really good, like for anyone listening, just some like financial hygiene if you're a freelancer. Separating two accounts is really handy, and it's a simple free thing that you can do. You can just set up another bank account and just start like Apple paying and spending like all your business things that are business related on that card. And that's just like a good basic tip that I wish I'd done sooner. And I think I did a year of sole trader where it was all like mixed up, and then it came to submit my accounts and I was like, oh fuck, like got to go through all those like £1 Sainsbury's transactions and this and that to figure out like what's business and what's not, and where was I on that day on my calendar, and was that work or was that not? And it's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, I remember, I think I did that for 3 years, and every time I had to do my taxes, I had to go through every statement, and I highlighted in red what was a business expense, and it's an absolute nightmare. But what I do want to ask, though, because that is quite an obscure thing that, say, freelancers may not come across or whatever, or is surprising, is there anything that you found when freelancing that was like a surprise, or was good or bad? Like, this is a lot easier, or, oh my God, like, I didn't realize this was so hard. Like, oh my God. Anything like that?
I think it's the people that I'm working with in regards to clients. I'm working often directly with athletes, and often they'll have had less experience paying invoices and sort of their financial literacy and stuff will actually be lesser than mine. So I'll send them an invoice, and it's all very informal. I thought it would be more formal. I thought there'd be like a contract written up. Often there's not. Often there's very little apart from just a message between the two of you saying, "Oh, can I create some content for you on a regular basis? You pay me X a month, and I'll come in and take these photos for you and do your Instagram or whatever." And in my head initially, I thought, "Oh, there's going to be a signing on the dotted line." There isn't. Often there isn't. It's just an email back and forth, or it's a WhatsApp, and there's never any formal agreement. It's a handshake, and a lot of those handshakes have lasted, over a year or more, and I'm still working with these people. And I know there are you get to a level, or you get to a place where you're working with clients and brands, and obviously there's going to be paperwork and stuff involved with that. But a lot of the clients that I'm working with now, there isn't a dotted line. There isn't a contract. There isn't security. It is just an agreement that you've had that can, I guess, end at any time, which is pretty scary. I could wake up tomorrow, I could have 3 messages from 3 different athletes saying, "Never want to work with you again," and there'd be absolutely nothing I could do about that. No notice, no nothing. You know what I mean? That would be it.
You'd be surprised that it's actually a similar story with brands. It's not
Really?
too like there isn't that much paperwork. Like, especially like obviously if you're someone that really hammers home about contracts and you need to sign this before we start working together. I'm not someone that's too much like that. As long as I've got a paper trail on email with that brand that says, here's the fee, here's the usage, these are the deliverables, and it's there on email. So, if the brand fucks up and they gets it wrong, there's a paper trail for me to say, this is what you agreed. And if we need to take it further, we can, but I've got evidence of you saying so because there is a paper trail there on email. So as long as you've got that, it's better than having nothing. It's super rare that I'll have to sign contracts with brands, unless it's like NDAs and all that kind of stuff, and I can't say anything about what it is. Then fine, that's slightly different. But yeah, you'd be surprised. Like it's kind of like that in the brand world as well.
Yeah. It's really weird as well because as the creative, you feel like bringing up a contract is almost like a bottleneck in the process where it's like, "Oh, hey, by the way, do you have a contract, or do you want me to send you one?" And they're like, yeah, if you send yours over and we'll just have a look. And it's like, if I didn't mention that, would this shoot have just gone ahead without anything? Even if it is an agency and you think that stuff is taken care of, it's usually just, again, like what Matt said. Matt, I don't know if any of you guys do this, but sometimes if I'm working with the same person over and over again, or the same agency, I would have like a general contract written up where it's just like, this is what the usage is in general, unless there's any specified terms based on the project, or, you would pay like my day rate or whatever. But it just so like there's some kind of like formality to it.
I don't tend to.
No?
I mean, I place a lot of trust in people, and I feel like I'll trust you first until you give me a reason to not. And like that can bite you in the ass, right? I mean, there's been times before, I don't know if I've ever spoken about it on the pod, but there was 2 times where I've worked with huge brands, and they have shafted me on the usage, and it's been printed all over an entire country in every store, and I haven't received a penny for it. And that's happened because one of them wasn't really my fault. It was more, I don't want to go into details because I'm just not going to.
Well, I won't say anything, but similar to what you just said, John, like it's like where sometimes the people don't know what they don't know, and so usage may have just not been even discussed or something. Carry on, Matt.
In my situation, usage was assumed, and it was actually between the agency and the brand that fucked it up, not me. I discussed the usage with said client, and then they didn't discuss it with the brand, so there was actually a breakdown in communication there. But it's happened in the past, and if that happens again and like trust is broken, like the next time round, I'll make sure that there's something in place that means that if you break that trust again, there's like something to kind of fall back on. But I'm doing a lot of work with Young LA at the moment, the American like brand, and like shooting for them every month, and there's not a contract there. Like I got on well with the guy who works there, and we have a good relationship, and I trust him, and that's just kind of the way it is. And I've known him for 6 years, and I've worked with him at various brands. So it's kind of like, it's one of those things you can kind of pick and choose who you might trust, and if you don't know someone, then you kind of have to be more wary. But I feel like you can kind of spot those people that are coming from a mile off. If it's someone that they're not working at like an established agency or an established brand, and they kind of come out of nowhere and they're like, "Oh, I want this," and there's a few red flags, and they're asking for a lot, and you can kind of tell, I think, when you've got like a bit of a rotten fish, so to say.
Matt's full of these wildlife sayings.
Yeah. Well, it's just like I think at the longer you spend in the industry, you'll start to be able to sniff those people out, I think, pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Have you had any
the
problems
network
like that,
improves as
Johno?
well. Yeah.
Have you had any problems? It'd be interesting to hear.
No,
You
to
don't
be
have
honest,
to go into details, but
no. I mean, often when again, a lot of my stuff is working directly with athletes. I've worked with brands as well. But when I'm working directly with athletes, it's like you're engaging one-on-one with another, what's essentially a sole trader, this fighter or this boxer. And sometimes it's the first time they've actually ever engaged with anyone like me, like any creative, because they're at a stage in their career where they're kind of at the same place as I am. They're sort of coming up, and we both don't know what we don't know. So a lot of it's very informal. And in regards to usage, I think that's something that, to be honest, I learned more about through watching the pod and listening to the pod, because when I first went out into doing freelancing and stuff, I didn't even consider it. I've, and often I still don't, because I'm taking these photos for athletes and they're using them on Instagram or whatever, and it's my lack of knowledge that prevents me from sort of thinking about that further in terms of usage, because I'm not working with these brands who are going to be using it for X campaign. When I'm delivering it, I've been delivering it in such an informal way. It's like, oh, here's your Dropbox link. Here's 30 of the best photos we took today. Use them if you want to use them. And you know what I mean? That's something where I still need to improve on and be a bit more sort of formalize that side of the process. But for me, it's because, like I'm saying, these people are on almost the same journey as I am, and maybe they've never engaged with creative services before. I don't want to scare them. And I think that's a line that I'm walking. So if I turn up at the gym and I go, right, here's your contract, here's how you're allowed to use the photos, etc., as much as it is extremely important, it could be if this athlete became the biggest combat sports star in the world and suddenly my photo was being used on the front of their autobiography or whatever, because I've said just use it. You know what I mean? Then I've been shafted and it's my fault. But it's walking that line between wanting to work with these people and wanting to get your foot in the door without frightening them, you know what I mean, and without sort of alienating them by throwing a lot of things at them they've never had to deal with before, because they aren't at that level of their career either. So it's tough when you're working, because I'm not working with, like I say, brands largely. I'm working with people who might never have engaged with this sort of stuff before. So it's hard trying to walk that line, and usage is something that I think a lot of freelancers still won't be sort of educated about, and I'm really still not. And it's, like I say, it's through the podcast that I've learned a little bit more about it, and I'm definitely more wary about it when it comes to certain clients and working with brands. But with the athletes, it's a lot more informal still.
It's reading the room, isn't it? And it's like situation dependent. So you've got a boxer or a kickboxer or whoever it is that's on the come up, but they're just like fairly small following. They're just starting to fight professionally. Like, you're obviously going to act a certain way to say you get asked to go in and work with John Jones or Anthony Joshua, who's got a management team who then you can speak to and say, this is the usage, because that's what they're used to, right? And that's what, commercial deals, that's what they're used to. Here's the usage. It's for social and web only. If you want it for anything else, you need to speak about that and have a different fee. So it's knowing when to, kind of bring it up. If you're working with a brand, then you definitely need to bring that up, whatever brand it is. It's basic business practice. But like you say, if it's a fighter down the local gym that kind of no one knows about yet, you're going to act differently, aren't you?
Yeah, brands and stuff will cover their backs as well. Like usually I imagine if someone is going to have like a book cover, for example, the publisher would be like, do you have licensing for this? And if the person doesn't know, then they'll actually contact you to specifically be like, we want to use your photo, can we? Because otherwise they could put themselves in legal trouble as well. So ideally, at the upper commercial sides of it, everyone tends to cover their backs properly, so you can get away with it.
Speaking of books, it's a really nice segue, because hasn't your photo ended up in the Portrait of Britain?
Yeah.
So I want to talk about that because that's a huge achievement, right? You've come into a year of taking it seriously. You come into the freelance space, and your photo, which is one of my favorite photos, by the way. And I think as soon as I saw it, I said, "You need to do something with this." Like, it's such a cool image, and it won a Portrait of Britain prize, and it's ended up in the book. Like, tell us more about that because that's absolutely brilliant, mate. Like, really proud of you.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, I submitted like 3 photos to the Portrait of Britain. So it's an award where 20 people, 100 people win. Sorry, it's not just me. So 100 people a year. It's sort of portraits, 100 portraits that sort of encapsulate Britishness, I guess, or a sense of where Britain's at the moment. And there's like a panel of judges or whatever. So I submitted 3 photos, didn't think much about it at all. Found out that it was shortlisted, so it makes it into the book. And then found out that it won. So it got displayed across the UK on the, I don't know how to pronounce it, the JGX, the big media billboards. It's that specific company. I really struggle to say the name. It's like JD.
Something like that.
Yeah. Anyway,
basically, it was fucking everywhere. It was all over
Tube
London.
stations. Everywhere. And then the Times did an article on it online. They chose mine as like the lead photo, and like the title was like fighting for the Portrait of Britain or whatever, and they used mine. And then the Guardian actually put it in print on a double-page spread, and there was 9 photos chosen for the Guardian print, and mine was the sort of the biggest one, which to me that meant a lot more than the book, because I mean there's 200 people in that book. There was 9 photos in the Guardian. Someone's decided they liked mine the most.
Mate, but having a photo all over London, all over billboards, like how does that feel? Because people wait years for that in their career. Like people wait years for like. Talk me through that feeling. Like how did that feel?
It was crazy, and this, I guess this again speaks to me as a person. But it was the first time I felt like, oh wow, I'm actually a photographer now. You know, before that, and not that I should have needed someone to tell me, oh yes, you're a photographer, but I felt like having that achievement kind of put it beyond doubt. I can now confidently say I feel like a professional photographer, and you definitely don't need to be winning an award or anything to be that. But for me, it helped me sort of internalize it a little bit more and be a bit more confident and sort of say it with a bit more chest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that feeling was like validation, I guess. For me, that was the benefit of it. It was just something that was really nice to have, and it's great for, I guess, marketing as well. I mean, it's one of the things you were talking about, the 3 pinned posts on Instagram on a couple of podcasts back, and that's like one of my 3 is like the photo on a big billboard, in the Guardian, in the book. So it's just great as well for sort of giving a bit of a stamp of quality or something, I guess. You know what I mean? To try and, like, if you want to try and get yourself across in 3 sentences or a sentence or whatever, you can I can tag award winning on the start stuff,
it's
which is pretty helpful.
Giving weight to your career and your name, isn't it? Which is like great, and like that, it's like gravitas, and it just shows like I won this award. Here it is on billboards all over London. Like people take you more seriously. Do you know what I mean?
It's super surreal, man. Like, really surreal. But
So
when I look back at the photo on Lightroom, and obviously it shows you the settings and stuff, and I would have never shot that like that now. You know what I mean? The shutter was too slow. Everything was wrong. You know what I mean? Like the way that I shot it, the way that I edited it, right. I would never do it like that now. It was wrong, but like in my head,
that's art though, isn't it? It's like
it was the one that worked, and it was nothing set up. It was just
we need to put up on screen, Cam. Like,
it's already been up. Yeah,
it's already up on screen. Like it's such a fucking sick photo, man. Like
it's just a guy in the right place at the right time and the right environment, and I just happened to be there.
But the thing is, like people say that I just happened to be there, but you worked hard to be there. Like you put your hat in the ring, you picked up a camera, you went out that day, and you got after it, and like it paid off. Do you know what I mean? And that just goes to show, like, yes, like there's a tiny bit of luck that you were in the right place at the right time, but you picked up a camera that day, you got out, you got after it, you sat with it, and you were like, yeah, you know what, I should submit this for this, and like to have the balls to be like, you know what, I'm going to submit to this competition. Nothing might come of it, and that might knock my confidence if it doesn't. But still, I'm going to do it anyway. And you ended up fucking winning the award. Like, that's huge, man. Like, and that just goes to show, like, putting yourself out there, like, it's going to have profound effects. Like you'll have that achievement for the rest of your life. You'll be able to show if you have kids one day, grandkids, that book, your work in there. That's huge. Like you can't. No one can ever take that away from you now. Do you know what I mean?
To me, it means a lot more than, and this is a mega cliche, but honestly, that means a lot more than any big invoice. Like for me, seriously, like having that there, I felt like I could just pack it in then and just go, oh, I've done it now. That was great. Like I've achieved the thing. That's fine. You know what I mean?
You
like
more motivated after, or did you feel a bit of like a come down after, and you're a bit like, oh, like it's hard to get going again? Because I know that can be a thing.
I definitely felt a bit more motivated because, like I said, I felt like I could go around now and walk with my head held high, thinking that I can do it, and I am, and that's a me thing. Like I needed that. Other people might not need that. They might be full of confidence before, but I felt like I had sort of a newfound confidence where I could say, yeah, like you've seen it. It was, it was in the Metro Centre. It was in the Underground. It was all over the place. It was like, you can take me seriously now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just a guy with a camera anymore. I'm suddenly a professional photographer.
Yeah.
And like I say, I did not need that. You do not need to win awards to be that. But for me, it just helped. It helped validate that and helped sort of internalize it. So it was a huge thing for me and definitely motivated me.
Good.
You mentioned about camera settings and everything a minute ago. And I love how oftentimes the best stuff, you realise that the technical stuff doesn't really matter as much as you think it does when you are learning and when you are first getting into the career. And eventually you just kind of think, well, the image is what it is. And
storytelling is king.
Yeah.
You told a story with that image.
Yeah. Like it's just as an example for video, like a lot of times people think, oh, I'm shooting in 4K. I can only zoom in 200%. But later on, you realise that it doesn't matter how far you zoom in, the image still looks fine. So there's this side of it where sometimes you can be really technical and worry about, oh, I'm zooming into 300, I'm zooming into 400, that's not good. But really, it's like, if it looks good, it's fine. Just like hit the export button and like get on with it. And so I love that you mentioned that about where maybe settings-wise it wasn't the best picture, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, but look at how good it came out. So yeah, it's really, really good. And sorry, go on, Matt.
You got me gassed up.
Yeah, that's what I mean, man.
I'm on one now. You got me gassed up. I'm so happy for you and excited for you, and I'm proper gassed up about it because we had those mentoring sessions before, and then like to see like obviously you submit stuff, and then like everything that came after was just so like heartwarming. So it was just really nice, man. Like
there's something that was really helpful.
There's something about the picture as well, like the mustache and. Like it feels, I don't know whether it's like Guy Ritchie is like the correct, like it feels very like rich colours, kind of like, I don't know, like the carpet as well is just so
it's
like...
got substance to it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, everything comes together, yeah.
Going into those like social clubs and like shooting that kind of stuff, like that's just, it's just like, we're not used to it, right? So you've captured a moment and you've kind of given us a glimpse into a world that we don't usually see, which already is like you're selling a story. You get like everyone's involved, and it's when you're capturing things that people aren't used to seeing, that's when it gets exciting, you know?
It's so British.
I love that so much.
Yeah,
I guess
like
that's
the
why
fire
they
exit door in the background kind of thing, like pushed to it's like all of it is it's so good. It's so good.
I love stuff like that though. Like again, a lot of those ones will be shoots that are either unpaid or I'm going there for my own enjoyment a lot of the time. If they've already got a photographer ringside, I'm saying, well, can I just turn up anyway and just shoot backstage? And often in shows that size, no one's asking to shoot backstage because it's not very glamorous. And even ringside's not particularly glamorous. But it doesn't, it feels like a non-job. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, well, who are you shooting these photos for? And I was like, well, I'm shooting them for, they are my personal projects occasionally. You know, if I've got a free Sunday and there's, someone fighting at a social club, I'm like, to me, there's stories there, there's moments there that I could make into something, and I love that. So yeah, it's, again, the money wasn't the factor. It was like just wanting to capture these stories and put myself in the position to capture them.
Yeah. What would you say to someone that's kind of thinking about jumping into the freelance world? Like they might be on the fence, or they don't know if they're ready yet to start making money from their camera. Like, is there anything you kind of would say to them based off the year you've had?
I would say just jump in head first and start developing your portfolio, and you're probably overthinking it. Like, you're probably overthinking it. Whatever it is that you're probably overthinking, either settings or the camera that you've got, or your personality or whatever. You're overthinking it. Like, just jump in, DM people. Oh, I get messages from people saying, "Oh, how do you get access to X event or whatever?" Again, sounds like a huge cliche. It sounds like I'm making it up. You genuinely just message people, and the absolute worst is that they say no, and then you move on to the next person. So I try and get access to whatever you want to get access to, whether it's fashion events, F1, whatever, motorsport, whatever. Try and reach out, start building that network. To get into these places, and just start building that portfolio. And when you're building that portfolio, you'll be sort of developing your style as well. So just jump in head first. Don't think, oh, well, I'm going to wait till I buy this camera before I leave the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The camera that you've got is the best camera that it is the best camera. So go out with it, start shooting. You'll start developing your style. And I think just the more you shoot, the better you'll be. Like, I look back on the stuff that I did, even 3 months ago, I'll look back and I'll say, I would have done that differently now. And I feel like, I don't know if that's just constant. I feel like that's just going to be a thing that's always there. And it's just one of those things. But the more I go out and shoot, the more my style and my approach changes. The more I edit, you know what I mean? Just the more time spent doing the thing, the better you will be at it. So just do it.
Yeah.
I suppose. Not. I've ripped off Nike there a little bit, haven't I? They're going to copyright strike it. But yeah, just do it. Just jump in and just go in head first and stop overthinking it.
And don't be afraid to do it for free. Because I feel like you're like, cool, I'm going to become freelance. I'm going to start getting paid for this. So you expect to get paid for it, whether it's 50 quid, 300 quid. You're kind of like, oh, well, I'm doing it for work now, so I need to get paid. Don't let that put you off doing the free stuff. I had a session with someone yesterday. She wants to go freelance, and she's just like, yeah, I'm not sure like how much I should charge and stuff. And I was like, don't get it twisted. Go out and shoot as much as you can. And if it's free, like that's also fine. Like you say, the more you pick up the camera, the better you're going to get faster. You're going to get work on your portfolio, which is another win. You're going to get better at the skill set. And then you've got like stuff for your portfolio as well. And at the start, you're trying to build out your portfolio, right? So, and you've been a perfect example of that. Like you've gone out, you've thrown your hat into the ring, you've asked for, you've asked for access to stuff, and you've got it, and you've gone out and shot it. And seeing like how your portfolio has changed, that you say over the last 3 months to the last year, is crazy. But that's just that shows what will happen to anyone listening that just goes out and does it and stops kind of like, is it time? Is it not? Shall I not? Do I need to charge for that? If it's for free, I don't want to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, reach out. Like one more like story before, I know it's getting on to an hour. But just one more good story. It was off the back of the mentoring sessions with you. I made a little spreadsheet. I've got a little spreadsheet with brands, athletes, events, and I was reaching out. And it was Yokao, or a Muay Thai kickboxing brand, really big in Thailand. They've got 1 million+ followers on Instagram, like a really big name in that space. And I just I went on their LinkedIn. I found someone who worked for Yokao, and I found the name of the CEO. And using like one half of the email of the other person, I guessed the CEO's email. So it was like x@yokao.com. And I just sent a cold email. And I sent that to a few people. The email worked, so I assumed that the email address existed. And about 2 weeks down the line, they got back to me asking, oh, can I go and shoot Liam Harrison, who's one of the sort of biggest names in British Muay Thai and one of their athletes. So I got that off the back of guessing someone's email from a company, cold emailing them. And that got me, it's got me work more than once. And now I am their sort of guy in the UK. If they need to like shoot with an athlete in the UK, I'm the guy, because I just went for it. But that was, I reached out to about 30 or 40, and that was the one. But it happened to be the biggest one, or one of the biggest ones in that space. And it sounds like a made up story, because you just guessed someone's email on LinkedIn, and they got back to you. And I said, yeah, like it worked out. And I got work off the back of it. So doing stuff like that, it might seem like when you're doing it that it's a bit of a thankless task, that, oh, no one's ever going to get back to me. And when it's Nike and stuff, maybe they won't, right? You know what I mean? Maybe they won't. But if you look a little bit further down the chain, there's a huge possibility that they'll see that email and you will happen to be the right person at the right time to go and sort of execute what they're looking for. So yeah,
proof is in the fucking pudding.
Yeah, reach out to people.
Yeah, it's the ability to try as well. It's the ability to do that and be like, I'm just going to give it a shot and guess the email and put two and two together instead of just being like, nah, it can't be that easy. Like, it's probably...
Rejection is so normal. You have
Yeah.
to get so used to rejection. Like the fact that you say you reached out to 30, 40 people, like one might get back to you, none might. That's part of the game. Like you have to have quite kind of thick skin in that. I think it's easier to get rejected when it's an email or social media. You're not speaking to them in person. It's like that softens the blow a bit. But it's like going back to your dating days and you ask someone out and they say no and you get rejected and it's just like, cool, well, it's a numbers game, as the lads used to tell me in London that I live with. It's a numbers game, baby, and you have to just keep like, you know, putting yourself out there. And I think that's just like that's part of the life, that's part of the job, and you have to get used to that pretty quickly. So if you're afraid of rejection, understand that it's part and parcel with the career you're choosing. And imagine every time you sent a message, someone said yes. Imagine what your life would be like. There'd be no ups and downs. Everything would be amazing. It would just be like, that just doesn't happen. That's not the real world. So I'm really glad you shared that story because that's a perfect example that the proof's in the pudding and look what happened off the back of that. And it's just like, great. So kudos to you, mate.
Yeah, I think it also goes back to that, remembering like you're a creative first, because like in my experience, like I think started taking the business side too seriously and wanting to be good at that, but then and maybe like, you know, doing formal emails and thinking about like, oh, how's best to do this? But then if you think back to just being a creative, it's like you'll message people on Instagram, you'd be like, I want to shoot your athlete by any means necessary, just let me in the door, like I don't care. Whereas there's a sense of like if you're trying to be too professional, you start trying to do the things that probably everybody else is doing. Whereas if you are just a creative, you'll make your own personal projects and you'll shoot that thing and you'll do this thing. And so I think it also speaks to that as well, where you really kind of stepped into that, which is you know, amazing. And I think a lot of people can hear that and take it on board as well, hopefully. Yeah.
Can I just ask you both a question? Because as a freelancer, this is something that when I'm listening to the pod, that comes up with me a lot, because the space that you both work in, or you don't work in the same space, but in regards to working with agencies specifically, to me, it's such an alien concept. I've never worked with an agency, and you know, I wouldn't even know where to begin. Agency versus just being a sort of straight freelancer, is there sort of pros and cons to working with that agency? Like, when I'm looking at the work that you both do, it seems to open up a lot of doors and get you in the room with sort of bigger brands, bigger stars, if you like, bigger athletes. So do you need to be represented by an agency to get on as a freelancer or as a photographer or a videographer?
So
Do you mean
there was kind of two parts to that. So like you can be represented by an agency, which me and Cameron are not, and you can work with agencies. And those agencies, usually creative agencies, production agencies. There are people out there that are represented by agencies and they have agents, and those agencies will use their contacts in order to, you know, get them jobs, and then that agency or agent will take a commission, usually like 20-30% of the fee. But they will do your negotiation for you. They'll do your usage negotiation. Usually they can get like more money out of the client. Yeah, so me and Cameron don't have agents. There are photographers out there that do, and videographers that do, directors that do, and they work with an agency that represents them. We call it like representation. And then you've got what me and Cameron have done a lot in our careers is working with agencies that are creative agencies and production agencies.
Yeah, and so, but real quick, those agencies are agencies for the client, so it's almost flips the other way around. So basically, they make sure that creatives aren't like ripping the clients off, and you know.
So a great example of this would be Adidas. Their agency that they work with a lot is called Midnight Club, and they're based in London. They're a super cool like agency, and they basically shoot like a large majority of Adidas's like global campaigns and all that kind of stuff. So agencies will service like creative shoots and production and like coming up with concepts and stuff for the brands. And that's like what a lot of bigger brands will have. They'll work with agencies to deliver said concept. So, I mean, an example we can use is when I did the shoot for Adidas Golf and Sky Sports. There's an agency up in Liverpool that Lee runs called Creative Players. Now they service, like Adidas Golf, and they will do campaigns for them and come up with the ideas. And then they hire me in as the photographer for the shoot. They'll probably option 2 or 3 photographers and show them to the client and be like, which do you like the look of the most? They're all available and this is their prices or whatever. And then they can decide which photographer they go with to execute that campaign. So the creative agencies and the production agencies are essentially like creating the campaigns and like making it all happen for the brands. And you know how you were saying about how you found a name on LinkedIn and you emailed them? It's a very similar process to an agency. There's people that work at agencies. They're on Instagram, they're on email, they're on LinkedIn, and you would like reach out to them and say like, "Hi, I hope you're well. This is my work. Would love to like grab coffee with you sometime and share more of my work with you and chat about like what you've got kind of going on at the moment." And if they like the look of your work and what they see, they might turn around and say, "Yeah, sure, let's meet for a coffee and get to know each other." And you'd work on building that relationship in an attempt to hopefully get some work with them down the line. If the shoot goes well, then there is a chance that they will, hire you again for other shoots. So that's kind of like a brief synopsis on like the difference and how that works, if that makes sense. Cam, I know you want to say something.
Well, I was going to say, I think there is still a bit more clarification. Because basically what you're saying, Matt, as well, is the agency understands, like, say, like, as you said with Adidas Golf or whatever, the agency will understand what Adidas Golf is aiming for, and they'll make sure that the project and the shoot that's happening is in line with, like, their brand guidelines and make sure that it's all, you only wear Adidas shoes on set and stuff like that. But with the outcome for the creative, I think in terms of what you were asking is it better to be, like, work with a client directly as a freelancer, or is it better to go through the agency? Like at least in my experience, it kind of, you have a mix of both. Like you get access to bigger clients and bigger athletes and all this stuff through agencies more often, because one agency might represent Adidas, and obviously at Adidas you've got like all these different athletes. So if you did one shoot for one athlete, then the agency might bring you in for when they've got another shoot. I know it happens a lot with like shoe launches where you'd shoot for Puma shoes and then like another Puma shoe would launch like 3 months later or something and you'd be back on another one. But you typically will get less money because there's more people in the chain. You've got like the client, then you've got like the agency, then you've got, the other stuff, and then you've also got like the contractors at the bottom. Not at the bottom, that's the wrong word, but like further down the line. Whereas
I'm gonna
hold on.
So I disagree with that.
Yeah, I knew you was gonna. I'll get to it. But then if you work with the end client and it's literally you doing it, you might have to do more work to facilitate, say, the production, or just kind of manage client expectations a bit more. But that's because you're taking on more risk. Because if it goes wrong, you're like personally like known as the person that like, messed this up. So you might get more money. But if you are working with an agency who's proper and they are doing a big brand, they typically would pay your proper rates. They wouldn't try and like cheap you out or anything like that, which is what Matt's getting onto with. This is where you get proper usage fees and you get proper like, oh, this thing is going to be on a billboard and it's going to be like across the world. It's because that agency has the power to do that. And then that's when they'll be like, we can give you some big dollar for that.
Yeah.
So
they understand how it works. They understand the processes and how kind of like how usage works, and they'd expect you to give them a usage fee and your correct day rate. And I think the point Cameron was making like I've had it in shoots before where a brand hires an agency who hires another agency who hires another production agency, and before you know it, there's 3 agencies or 4 agencies before it's got to you. So then the pot of money,
the budget gets
can be less, which the budget gets smaller as it works its way down to you, if that makes sense. So there's been times where that's happened and it's like, oh, actually they can't even afford the day rate. But yeah, if you're working with an agency and they're working direct with brand, then they understand, usage, and they're good. Definitely try and get in with agencies, try and get in direct with brands, marketing agencies, PR agencies. Like there's a whole array of different things you can target, and I would say try and get your fingers in as many pies as possible. Does that all make sense?
It does, yeah. So I've worked for creative agencies up here. And
perfect.
what they've done is a lot of lot of corporate stuff,
Okay.
and a lot of it's been sort of PR and bits and bobs.
Hmm.
So I think it was understanding the difference between being represented and working via a creative agency, and whether you needed to really to kind of make it. So, for example, with Adidas, how likely are they ever to work with a straight up freelancer? Like, how would that relationship ever even come about? You know what I mean? Versus, would you need that agency to kind of breach that door?
I feel like it's like 30, 30.
There's like social activations. Like Adidas might have like a social team that do like social content activations, and you might go down to an activation and shoot for Adidas, but it's not a campaign. You're just shooting an event for Adidas. So you could say like I've shot for Adidas, but it's a kind of in a different way, and it's easier to get in doors like that. So people would shoot like Adidas run clubs, and you can kind of then get in the door with someone that works at the brand, and that's a much easier avenue to get into than it's like jumping straight in and shooting like the global campaign. Like that will all come through like a major agency.
Yeah, I think a lot more like real life, like network is you get people on social, for example, where they've had something go viral or just their work is amazing, and Adidas, the actual brand, will comment and be like, can you do this for us? And they've basically just like beeline straight through all the noise straight to Adidas. But then you've got other people where, there is a campaign and they work with the agency and they go, oh yeah, these are the photographers on our roster. Here's their portfolios. Adidas, have a look at which ones you like and we can bring them in.
Well, there'll be people at the brands that obviously are on Instagram as well. So like the guy who works in-house at Puma saw my TikTok of the football thingy I did, then hired me off the back of it, but just came straight direct to me. Whereas other shoots that I do for Puma are through an agency. Like I've shot, when it was Puma in India, that was a different agency. When it's Puma football and all the boot stuff I did like over the last year, that's through a French agency. And then Puma have come to me directly for something else, and I've shot directly through them. So, people will be following you. And again, this is the perk of posting, something that might like pick up and it shows your work in, in combat sports. Like there might be someone at Venom, for example, who, works in their marketing team or works in-house in content creation, that sees it and follows you and decides to come directly to you. And like, you just never know. It's like who could be watching.
It's the credibility thing, though, as well. Like being represented is really just credibility, but you can fill that gap with other things. Like you can win awards, or you can have like a YouTube channel with like 1 million subscribers or whatever. Like you can. There's other ways to fill in that thing that representation would bring, and also it's like proof that you're good at what you do and stuff. Like if you're represented, typically you would have had to meet certain like content, you know what I mean, like certain rules or whatever levels. Yeah.
But I've heard lots of so I know like multiple people that are either represented or they're not represented, and I've heard multiple stories, and there are amazing agencies out there that represent people that bring people a lot of work, and I've heard horror stories of photographers that they think like it'll change their career becoming represented, and they get represented, and they don't bring any work in for them, and then the stuff that they bring in themselves they're taking a commission from, and it's like, oh, actually this isn't as the way I dreamed it was going to be.
Yeah.
So, there's people out there that think it's like the end of the be all in your career. That's not the case, but there are definitely amazing benefits to being represented with like their network and who they can get you in with and the brands they can get you in with. So like, I think the right opportunity and the right agency and the right representation will come to you when the time is right. But people like obviously go out there looking for it, and they think, oh, it's going to make my career and it'll mean that I'm all of a sudden busy because I've been so quiet. Like you probably get kind of going down the wrong rabbit hole, in my opinion. You like use that time to focus on getting your work better and better, and the right opportunity will present itself to you when the time is right, I would say.
At the end of the day, it just comes down to carry on doing what you're already doing. It's like every creative should just carry on being a creative. Yeah, just keep creating and keep shooting the personal projects, and if something comes along, then great. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, shall we start to wrap it up there? One question, final question that we ask all of our guests. Do you have any late invoices, Johno?
One. Just the one.
Just the one.
He's the sort of guy who checks his emails once a month, so
we'll let it slide.
I'll let it slide.
Wait, I've got to ask as well. Do you have a due date on your invoices?
30 days.
I do, but I mean, I don't. they're essentially meaningless.
Yeah. As long as you have one on there, that's some people don't have it on at all, and I'm like, oh my god. Even if they don't pay on time, it's like still have it on there because it does give people a bit of a like, oh, that needs to be coming in. So yeah.
For sure.
If I start adding late fees, these people will literally fight me.
Yeah.
So
Oh my god.
I can't.
Actual violence.
Very true. And where can people find you, mate? Like, what's your Instagram name? How can people reach out to you? Also, you're based in Newcastle, right? So
I'm based in Newcastle. Yeah.
If there's any photographers up there, hit them up.
Yeah. It's at johnoramsay.photo on basically everything, or just Johno Ramsay on YouTube. There isn't much on YouTube. I think I've done one video, but at johnoramsay.photo.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll link everything in the show notes below as well. And have that stuff pop up on screen. So. Yeah.
Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
No, thank you so much.
It's been a really, really refreshing conversation. I've really enjoyed it. I got myself all hyped up. I know. It's been really good. So I hope the people that are listening have found this really beneficial as well. So, mate, we appreciate you. Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
No, thank you so much for having me on. I feel like I've coming away having learned something as well.
Yeah. Good. Don't go anywhere, though. We're going to carry on talking in a second.
Yeah, Cameron's just going to pause the recording.
Right. Say bye, guys. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.